name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be talking about my February TBR. TBR today, and that's because I'm a mood reader, so I always plan for more books than I'm probably going to read in a certain month. That way I can change my mind in case I'm not in the mood to read that one and I have more options. So let's get into it. The first books I'm going to go over are ones that I have already purchased. These are ones that I have gotten over the last month or two, but I have not had a chance to read them, and they are very, very high up on my TBR list. And so the very first one I have is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is one that I picked up in January. I talked about it a little bit in my January book haul, so I will link that down below in case you're interested. But this is one that I don't know a whole bunch about. I did know more previously, but because of all the hype surrounding the book, I decided I just want to go into it blind. I know it's supposed to follow fairies. This is the first in a series. I have loved other books by Holly Black, and so I'm very excited to read this one. The second book I want to read this month is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. This is another one I picked up in January, and this one is a sci-fi adventure. Sci-fi is my favorite genre, and it's supposed to follow a cast of female main characters, and so that is all I know about this. I'm very excited to read this one as well. The next book I want to read this month is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This one had a lot of hype surrounding it in 2017, and I have heard really, really good things about it. I had a friend read this recently who really, really loved it. This is a historical fiction novel that follows our main character Monty as he ends up going on some sort of adventure, and it is supposed to be LGBTQ as well, so I'm very excited for this. It seems right up my alley. And then we have Autoboyography by Christina Lauren. This is another LGBTQ romance. This is a contemporary one, and this is one that, again, I have had a friend read personally and love, so I'm very excited for this one. I love the diversity in these YA books that have been coming out, especially with the LGBTQ romances, and so I'm very excited to read this one. I've heard amazing things, especially from my best friend. And then we have Fence issue number 3. This is by C.S. Pacat and Joanna the Mad. This is the third issue in the Fence comic series that follows our two main characters, Nicholas and Seiji, who go on to Fence. I have not read this one because it just came in the mail today, but I am super excited to read this. This has been my favorite series so far, actually of 2018, but also December of 2017. I absolutely love the characters, the art style, and I cannot wait to jump back into this one. And then the last book I already own but want to read is Killing Time by Della Van Hees, or Heis. One of my reading resolutions this year was to read more Star Trek books. I mentioned it in my reading resolutions video, which I'll link down below in case you're interested. I have not done very well with this goal so far. I actually did start this book in January and got completely sidetracked with other novels, and so I'm very interested to keep reading this. This one follows Kirk and Spock, obviously, because it's from the original series, but this is later in their voyage. There's some sort of Romulan device that ends up taking them, I think, to like an alternate universe sort of thing, where Kirk is an ensign and Spock is a captain, and I do not know exactly what's going to happen yet because they just switched over. I love these Star Trek books, and this one is supposed to have a lot of good Kirk-Spock friendship feelings, and so I'm very excited for this one. Apparently, I'm excited for all the books. The next two books I wanted to mention are ebooks. The first one I have is Scorpio Hates Virgo. This is by Anita Sunday. This is the second in her Signs of Love series. The first book was Leo Loves Aries, and I did read that in, I believe, January of 2017, and I loved it. This is the second book of that. They are companion novels in this series, so they do not follow the exact same main characters. This is a new adult male-male romance that I would actually classify as LGBTQ because not all of the guys are strictly gay in these. Some of them are bi, some are demi, and she does a really good job at actually explaining these kind of things. I'm actually currently in the middle of this one, loving it so far. I will have a review up on that in my wrap-up later this month. And then my next ebook is Unconventional by Rebecca Royce. This is a new adult reverse harem romance. I do not know much about it. I actually have this as an advanced copy so I can read it and give it an honest review. This is an author that I have discovered by myself and have purchased many, many books from her myself, and I now occasionally get asked to read copies early to post reviews on them. This one is coming out on February 20th, so I will have a review up on that day on Amazon and Goodreads. Otherwise, I will talk about it more in my wrap-up. I have not started it yet, but I'm very excited to see what this is about. And then I also have books that I have not purchased yet, but I really, really want to get to. Most of them came out at the very, very end of January, and one of them is going to come out in February, so I'm looking forward to purchasing those and hopefully reading them this month. The first one is Mass Effect Discovery. This is by Jeremy Barlow. This is a bind-up of comics in the Mass Effect universe, and it follows Kandros, which is a Turian from Mass Effect Andromeda. I loved his character, what we got of it, in Mass Effect Andromeda, and was very, very curious to learn more, and this is supposed to follow him before the game of Mass Effect Andromeda. I have heard amazing things. I have a different friend who's already read this as well and loved it, so I'm very excited to purchase this and then read it. The next one I have is Orange Future. This is by Ichiko Takano. This is a surprise release, at least for me. I had no idea it was coming out, but this follows her Orange series, which I read last year or the year before and absolutely loved. Orange is a series that I would classify as like a sci-fi romance. It follows a girl who ends up getting letters from her future self so she can try and avoid a bad event that happened during her high school years. I fell amazingly in love with that series. I was so sad when it was over, and so I am very interested to see what this new book is about. It's supposed to, I believe, have 2 new stories set after the events of Orange, and so I can't wait to get my hands on that. I also want to read the Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert. Again, I do not know a whole bunch about this book. I knew I wanted to read it a while ago and put it on my to-be-read list. It is supposed to be about some sort of like dark fairy tale, and I am super into fairy tales, especially the dark ones. I like it when they have that little bit of twist on them. Like Gregory Maguire is, in my opinion, a popular adult author who does really, really good dark fairy tale retellings. He was the one that did Wicked, which eventually got turned into a musical. And so I'm very interested to see about this one. I don't think I've read too many young adult dark fairy tale retellings, but I'm so excited to read it. And then the very last one I'm hoping to read in February is The Apocalypse of Elena Mendoza by Sean David Hutchinson. Sean David Hutchinson is actually one of my new favorite authors. I did finish At the Edge of the Universe by him in 2017, near the very end of 2017, and I loved it. It was one of those books where I knew I just had to sit down and completely finish it front to back. When I was able to actually read it, I loved it. This one is supposed to follow our character Elena Mendoza, who is apparently the product of a virgin birth and can perform miracles. Sean David Hutchinson is so good at like I consider it magical realism. It's a real world with these magical sort of elements to them, and you never really know where it's going until he brings you there. Our main character is also supposed to be a queer girl, and so another LGBTQ romance, I believe, is supposed to happen in this. So I'm so excited to read this as well. Like I've said so many times, I am so excited for these books in February. I cannot wait to read them. I am just so excited. Oh my gosh. I sound like a crazy person. But I am so excited to read these books. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are planning on reading this month. If you've read any of these books already, leave me a comment as well, letting me know what you thought about them. I will have a new video up on Monday, so I will see you then. Bye!